So how do you write these detailed descriptions you need for the exam? The best place to start is with your core word classes, which are your adjectives, nouns, verbs, and adverbs. Let's start with adjectives. Now, size, shape, and colour can be a good place to start, so you just add one or two adjectives before a noun. For example, here's an apple. That does the job, but there's nothing distinctive about it. So let's add a few adjectives. We can make it a large, round green apple. That's getting there, but it's still a little bit vague. Let's add some more detail, this time with a hairbrush. So we can make that a medium size, round red hairbrush with several rows of bristles. That's better still. It gives the reader a much clearer image of the object, but it sounds a little bit forensic. It's almost like a piece of evidence from a crime scene. So we need to bring it to life a little bit more. So if someone on your imaginary train in your writing is holding an imaginary apple, what sort of apple? Don't just go for the obvious, it was shiny and green. Go for something slightly extraordinary or unusual about it. So perhaps it was misshapen and slightly battered, like it's been in her handbag for a few days. Let's look at some more examples of adding adjectives. She was wearing red shoes. Red's a good start, but we can make it more detailed if we add she was wearing ruby red ballet-style shoes without a heel. He was wearing a tie. You can improve that by making it a blue and pink polka dot tie that was slightly too tight. She took out a biscuit. She took out a chocolate chip cookie slightly larger than the palm of her hand. Quick exam tip here, you can even go back and add these adjectives afterwards when you're checking your work and you want to inject a bit more detail. You just insert the extra adjectives in afterwards, a bit like this. So she was wearing, let's say, ruby red ballet shoes. Now on to nouns. Be as specific as you can here with your objects. Tell the reader what kind of apple you're describing. Is it a Granny Smith or a pink lady? Is it a baking apple? If you're describing a scene with a dog in it, specify the type of breed it is. So it's a small, overweight pug. It's these extra details that show your examiner that you have some imagination, but also that you're aware of cultural details around you. You should also upgrade your verbs, because again, specificity will really make your writing a lot clearer. So if someone's walking in your scene, think about how they're walking, but also why are they walking in the first place. So are they strolling because it's a casual walk, or are they creeping because they don't want to get caught doing something? Is someone sauntering because they have a bit of an attitude? There are lots of other ways of walking. So you should specify the exact type of walk because it gives a much more nuanced image, but it also adds extra connotations to your writing. And when those connotations are deliberate and you've added them for effect, connotations can make your writing just so much more sophisticated because they influence the emotions going on. They can make the scene a bit more uplifting or eerie or somber. It also makes your writing a lot more suspenseful and dramatic and can add more depth as well to your writing by creating an atmosphere. And that can enhance or it can foreshadow some drama that's about to happen. Let's look at another example. She meandered in the hallway a while, slightly unsteadily, before creeping up the second flight of stairs. Obviously, the writer could have just said she walked around the hallway before she went upstairs. But the words meander and creep there, they have slightly ominous connotations. So immediately, and perhaps subconsciously, our reader knows something sinister might be about to happen, or because we've carefully chosen the precise verbs to suit that scene. Finally, another detail in that example, which gives it its ominous effect, is the adverb unsteadily, which shows also how you can enhance your adverbs to increase the level of detail in your writing. Here are some examples then of some other adverbs you can use. Now, this is not an exhaustive list at all, but we can just use it for some inspiration. Now, as I go through, think about the connotations of each of these words and how they might change the emotions or mood of your writing. Solemnly, queasily, rudely, sedately, reluctantly, shrilly, silently, respectfully, hopelessly, helplessly even, nervously, boldly, absently, guiltily, knowingly, viciously, energetically. Now, obviously there's hundreds of other adverbs you can use, but this short list hopefully gives you an idea of how much more exciting and realistic your writing can be. So in summary then, add your adjectives. Think about the size, shape, colour of your objects to start with. Don't be obvious, make it distinctive. Nouns. Specify the type of object you're describing. Upgrade your verbs so that you're thinking about how and why any movements are taking place, again being as specific as you can, and consider the connotations of those verbs so that you influence the mood and the atmosphere of the scene. Lastly, be imaginative with your adverbs. Access that inner thesaurus you keep in your brain, or refer to that list of adverbs to make sure your writing is a bit more exciting and realistic.